Greetings. Let me start by saying that I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This information is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Today is December 21st, 2022, and we'll be talking about what used to be stock symbol MMTLP and what is NexBridge Hydrocarbons. And I'm going to take a slightly different slant on this video because we're getting towards Christmas time, and this presentation is titled A Christmas Carol. So, you're probably familiar with Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, right? It's about Scrooge and, the tale of Scrooge, he's been very mean to very many people in his life, a cruel person, and not much redeeming factor there. He doesn't have much to show in life apart from wealth. He has a lot of wealth, right? That's what Scrooge is. However, he has no love in his life, and we have seen that he was visited by 3 ghosts, and they managed to change his future, his life. The ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas present, and the ghost of Christmas future. So, I will tell the story of 3 ghosts. Christmas past, Christmas present, and Christmas future, in the form of stock symbol MMTLP. Most of us are familiar with the ghost of Christmas past for stock symbol MMTLP. This is a story of short hedge funds who have manipulated the stock downwards in price significantly multiple times. Large short positions and never closing their short positions, even when the company is going private. So at this point, we know that the companies, private companies cannot be shorted because you cannot borrow shares to sell into the open market because a private company is not sold in the open market, and there are no shares that you can borrow from anyone because it's private. So, private companies cannot be shorted, and the ghost of Christmas past for MMTLP has to do with the fact that when these shorts, and this is a very recent past even, when these shorts got caught behind the 8 ball when they were underwater, they did not cover their short positions. In fact, they doubled down. They shorted more, digging themselves deeper into the hole. The story of how deep they dug themselves into the hole can be best seen with 2 videos that I have in the past over here. I will not go into the details of Christmas past, but you can look up MMTLP FINRA fraud fiasco continues Monday, which tells you the most recent stuff about what has been going on with MMTLP. And MMTLP, the story is coming to a close where the shorts were supposed to close their short positions because they had ample warning in the form of about 6 months worth of warning, and yet they chose to double down every single time, not closing their short positions and manipulating the stock price downward in a frenzy. Ghost of Christmas present. The ghost of Christmas present is the near term, which is the FINRA fraud fiasco continues Monday. What happened was that as of December 8th, which was the last day that you could actually trade to buy stock symbol MMTLP and get the NexBridge Hydrocarbons shares, stocks manipulated the price of MMTLP downward significantly instead of actually covering their short position. They wound up selling. There was a total volume of about 13.7 million shares, of which 9 million plus were short interest. So if you look at that, can these shorts ever cover their position? Because on the 9th and the 12th, the last 2 days of possible trading where they could cover their position, FINRA halted trading. And there may have been some collusion in the ghost of Christmas present between the short hedge funds and FINRA to halt trading. We don't know, but it looks like it to me, and it looks like it to a lot of retail investors, that there's a lot of collusion going on between short hedge funds and FINRA. That is the ghost of Christmas present. What is the ghost of Christmas future? Well, let us see. We know. Oh, also, now that was a ghost of recent Christmas present. We have the ghost of very, very recent Christmas present in the form of an 8K, which is filed by NexBridge Hydrocarbons. As we know, NexBridge Hydrocarbons files an 8K, which is some information that they disclose to their shareholders. And what do they say? They say, NexBridge Hydrocarbons, a 100% owned subsidiary of Meta Materials, prior to the distribution of 100% of their outstanding common stock of the company, completed by Meta Materials on December 14th, 2022. So basically, on December 14th, 2022, Meta Materials distributed 100% of the common stock of NexBridge Hydrocarbons to the Series A preferred shareholders. The Series A preferred shares were also traded under the stock symbol MMTLP at that time. And on December 14th, if you held the stock and it was fully settled on December 12th in your account, that was the date of record, was December 12th. If you held it on December 12th, all the way through till December 14th, which you basically had to because trading was halted by FINRA, turns out you will get, or you are entitled to get, a share of NexBridge Hydrocarbons. Okay? Now those shares, 165 million of them, have been distributed to the transfer agent. And it also says, following the completion of the spinoff has been completed, the company is an independent public reporting company. Meta retains no ownership interest in the company. On December 20th, 2022, the company issued a press release announcing the completion of the spinoff. The spinoff is complete on December 20th, which was yesterday. Let me repeat, spinoff is complete as of December 20th, which is yesterday, and this is the press release that was released. Now, first off, with the press release, everyone knows that there is no company called Meta Minerals, so this is either a typo, or maybe it's some sort of weird Freudian slip where they're thinking about lithium in the ground and possibly getting access to that lithium. Don't know. In either case, we're talking about the company Meta Materials. We're not talking about the company Meta Minerals, which is non-existent. Apart from that Freudian slip or typo, whatever, let's move on. The press release basically says the completion of the spinoff. The spinoff is complete. If you were a registered holder of record on the books of NexBridge, maintained by AST, which is the transfer agent, of the MMTLP Series A preferred stock, that is the MMTLP preferred stock, as of December 12th, you are considered a holder of record with respect to those shares. And AST will mail statements of holdings to all registered holders after the distribution is complete. No action is required. Okay. But registered shareholders will receive a statement of holdings, not stock certificates, but a statement of holdings. So there are no stock certificates that are being mailed to anybody. There are no stock certificates that are being mailed to brokers. All the people will be getting is a statement of holding. Okay? Now, if your MMTLP Series A preferred stock is held in an account at a broker, bank, whatever, then you are a beneficial owner of shares held in street name. You should contact your custodial institution directly if you wish to have your shares registered. Okay. What does this say to me? This says to me that a broker should be a registered shareholder. A broker is the above, right? You, me, a lot of other people, we are the clients of brokers. We are beneficial owners. Okay. We should contact our broker if we wish to have our shares registered. That means if we wish to be known to AST as the owner. Otherwise, they will be held in street name, and we will be beneficial owners. Okay, that's the other part of this release. So we don't really have to do anything. I don't know that I want to have my shares registered. I may, based upon uncertainty of where these shares are, because the brokerage seems to be not giving me a lot of information at this point. But we'll get into that later. And finally, the last part of this 8K talks about new officers for NexBridge Hydrocarbons. Great. There are new officers. The only one I personally really care about is Clifton DeBose Jr. I think it's pronounced DeBose. I thought it was DeBoy, but maybe it's DeBose. And he is appointed as the CEO and chairman of the board. CEO and chairman of the board. So that is good to know. He's the guy where the buck stops. Okay. Key takeaways here. NexBridge Hydrocarbons is spun off. There are no MMTLP shares. Don't care about MMTLP at this point. Only care about NexBridge Hydrocarbons. That's what I want. MMTLP does no longer exist. Shares are in the process of being distributed. The S1 says the distribution should be complete 2 weeks after the distribution date. The distribution date is the 14th. That's here. Okay. It is the 21st. It means we've had a week of distributions. I don't know of any persons who have received shares. There might be one or two people who state that they've received shares, but certainly the majority of people have not received shares. Most people have not received shares. I would like to start seeing lots of people saying they have received their shares. This leads me to believe something is, this gives me a feeling of unease right now because I have not received my shares. I'm a shareholder. I should be receiving my shares. I'm a beneficial shareholder that holds shares with my brokerage firm, and my broker is Fidelity, and they have not yet sent me shares. So all shareholders should therefore receive the shares by the 28th, which is 2 weeks, right? But we should have already started receiving shares, right? We should start receiving shares. People who have registered their shares should be receiving shares. Why are people not receiving shares? Okay. The longer time goes on, the more suspicious I become when things don't progress forward as they are supposed to. Right? AST is supposed to. We know that AST has the shares. We know Meta Materials has issued a press announcement, and NexBridge has issued a press announcement that the shares have been transferred to AST. AST, therefore, has to transfer the shares to the brokers and to the registered shareholders. Since I'm not hearing a lot about that happening, I'm wondering if there are nefarious characters that are trying to prevent AST from transferring their shares. Normally they would, right? Could anyone be trying to stop AST from transferring its shares? I would like to know. I don't know. I have seen this tweet. It's part of the Ghost of Christmas Present. And it is a very interesting tweet, to say the least. This is Sammy Puts, and he says, I got this response when I told TD to DRS directly register my shares per the press release of MMTLP. And the response, the emailed response was, thank you for your email. MMTLP is currently chilled at the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation. A chill is a special restriction that is issued by the DTCC. There are many possible reasons for their action. The reason for a chill is not disclosed by the DTCC. Interesting. So the DTCC has chilled stock symbol MMTLP, which we know does not exist anymore. It was deleted. And the DTCC has nothing to do with NexBridge Hydrocarbons because NexBridge Hydrocarbons does not go through the DTCC system. In either case, TD Ameritrade is talking about the DTCC. Let's continue forward with what they have to say. This restriction impacts a brokerage firm's ability to transfer the shares of the security through the DTCC. The restriction will remain in place until the stock issuing company resolves the issue. Please contact DRS Transfers at 1-800-652 458-8400, weekdays, whatever. That's the phone number for TD Ameritrade. Thank you for choosing TD Ameritrade. So the restriction impacts a brokerage firm's ability to transfer the shares of the security through DTCC. Now, what shares are being referred to here? They can't be stock symbol MMTLP. That symbol has ceased to exist. They also can't be NexBridge Hydrocarbons, which is a private company. And private company shares are not going through the DTCC. Why is the DTCC being involved in this? This strikes me as, some sort of weird miscommunication that's taken place, or perhaps TD Ameritrade has no clue what's going on. It is possible that they have no clue what's going on and that they are confused, which would make TD Ameritrade look very bad because they have lots of shareholders. And the fact that they seem to be confused that stock symbol MMTLP is currently trading is strange because it is not. It should be non-existent. In fact, there was a new CUSIP number that was created as a placeholder for people who used to own stock symbol MMTLP because people have not yet received their NexBridge Hydrocarbons shares. Instead of this weird conundrum that's going on with TD Ameritrade, they should simply be aware that they need to deliver NexBridge hydrocarbon shares, and the DTCC should not be involved in the delivery of NexBridge hydrocarbon shares. That has actually taken place from the the issuing company. The issuing company in this case was Metamaterials, who issued 165 million shares to AST. AST is, of course, the transfer agent. That has been done. Where is the NexBridge hydrocarbon shares, TD Ameritrade? And what's going on here? This seems to be some sort of weird miscommunication. This is happening in the Ghost of Christmas Present. The Ghost of Christmas Present seems to be large confusion among brokerage firms and the DTCC about what their role is. DTC's role is non-existent. They don't exist as far as NexBridge Hydrocarbons is concerned. They should not. We don't care about the DTCC. NexBridge Hydrocarbons is a private company and should not be going through the DTCC system. So, as we know, this is a press release which actually says that NexBridge Hydrocarbons has been spun off. We talked about how everything has been spun off, and shares should be distributed by the 28th, 2 weeks, which is basically a week from now. Okay. So, in reality, I don't care about MMTLP. I care about NexBridge Hydrocarbons. TD Ameritrade should not care about MMTLP. They should care about NexBridge Hydrocarbons and delivering those shares. That was issued as a dividend to all MMTLP shareholders. The DTCC is not involved in the distribution of NexBridge Hydrocarbon shares. And as beneficial shareholders, your shares, my shares, of NexBridge Hydrocarbons, the broker owes us these shares. Okay, 1-to-1 for every shareholder on record of MMTLP as of the record date of 12/12/2022. Okay, that is the Ghost of Christmas Present. TD Ameritrade, please understand what's going on and please move on. Okay, thank you. One more thing about the Ghost of Christmas Present. This is partly about the Ghost of Christmas Future. Ghost of Christmas Future is coming in. John Brda is talking with attorneys about potential paths and investigating possible paths and reconvening later on in the week, because the Ghost of Christmas Present, the present is not, it seems to be very, very convoluted right now. And it seems as though brokerage firms don't know what's going on. John Brda is helping to clarify this situation for brokerage firms. And they should know. Broker-dealers should know that the chill notice from the DTCC has nothing to do with NexBridge Hydrocarbons. And the DTCC should not be involved in NexBridge Hydrocarbons. There is no CUSIP for NexBridge Hydrocarbons. There is no stock symbol for NexBridge Hydrocarbons. NexBridge Hydrocarbons is a private share, which does not go through the DTCC system. Okay. Anyway, John Brda says, met with Share Intel today. They can be a great help, I believe. Reconvene tomorrow again with attorneys. This is the possibilities of the Ghost of Christmas Future. The Ghost of Christmas Future. Before I go on to the Ghost of Christmas Future, there is one other thing that's going on. There is a rumor in the Ghost of Christmas Present, which I don't quite understand. Let's talk about this rumor, okay? I was looking at Houston Way's show a little bit earlier today, and I saw he mentioned something about a $500 billion bond, and he said something like, that's enough money that whoever, issued the bond should be able to buy NexBridge Hydrocarbon shares directly from the issuing company, NexBridge Hydrocarbons, right, at $1,000 a share, which would mean $500 billion goes to NexBridge Hydrocarbons, which they could pay out as a dividend to shareholders. I didn't know anything about this $500 billion bond. It just randomly appeared in the show. That was my initial thought. So I thought, hey, I would like to find out more about this and see what's going on. Which leads me to this tweet by John Brda. John Brda has done some investigation, it looks like. He got some screen grabs from a Schwab client. And apparently they're trying to make shares that they owe into a bond, and they're trying to trade it. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't know what's going on. These are the screen grabs. It seems to have a bid-ask, and it says there are no current ask prices available, no bid-asks available. For Meta Materials Inc., 0%. I don't know what this 0% means. Preferred pending receipt of new shares. Where are these new shares? Are they attempting to buy new shares? I have no idea what this means. If they're attempting to buy new shares, good on them. Buy the shares. And I don't care how you finance the buying of the shares. Buy the shares. Give the money to Meta Materials. Give the money to NexBridge Hydrocarbons. And let NexBridge Hydrocarbons send out those shares to us shareholders as a dividend. Great, if that's possible. Who knows? I do not know. This is the other screen grab. Schwab bond source. It seems to indicate it's a bond of some type. Again, I do not know what's going on here. It seems very strange, and this seems to be for Charles Schwab in particular. So this might cover Schwab's problems, but I don't know that it would cover other brokers' problems. There's a whole bunch of other brokers who have issues with the Series A preferred shares that they need to deliver. My initial reaction to this is it's very strange. A bond is a debt to repay money, not to repay shares, to repay money with a discount rate to make up for the time value of money, right? As we know, there's money and there's this thing called inflation and the time value of money. Money tends to decrease in value over time. Everyone knows the story of, great-great-grandpa says, I remember when bread used to cost me a nickel. Now it costs me $4.85. Used to cost me a nickel. So, Grandpa did pay a nickel for bread, and that was great. And now bread is $4.85, right? And that's called inflation. So money loses value over time, and if you loan, usually financial institutions that loan money out take that into account, and they will actually increase interest rates to make up for that loss in the loss in the time value of money, as well as inflation. So they make up for both, right? So you can do that with a bond for money. You can't do that with a bond for shares, because who knows if there's going to be more shares. They might actually buy back shares. The shares might be more expensive than you originally bought them for. You don't know what that is. There's no monetary value to a share. Now, true, brokers owe a debt as a share, but they can't deliver more shares because they can't make more shares. They can't get more shares unless they buy them from someone. And it's not clear that they could ever buy them from someone if people don't make the shares available. It's a private company, Anyway, it sounds like insanity to me. It was initial reaction about on the part of the brokers. I do not know what is going on with this, so there is confusion in general. Confusion sets in. Anyway, that is my current take on the Ghost of Christmas Present. Ghost of Christmas Present is not looking very good right now for the people who owe NexBridge Hydrocarbons shares, because they have not owed it. They have not provided a single share yet to shareholders, and shareholders have a debt. And if you do not pay your debts, then there's such a thing as fraud laws. And if you are conspiring with there are more than 3 people working together to not pay that debt off, that's called conspiracy, and that triggers RICO laws. So the Ghost of Christmas Future does not look very good if you are unable to pay off these debts. If you cannot deliver these shares, the brokerage licenses could be held, at risk here. There's a lot of liability that's to be assumed. I suggest you pay off your debts as soon as possible to avoid a worse future. Don't forget Scrooge's future. He didn't have much of a future. I suggest that, whoever owes these debts, they can reconcile. The brokerages can reconcile the future easily. Short hedge funds, we don't know. But the brokerages could just simply buy the shares from Meta Materials. They can just buy the shares from NexBridge Hydrocarbons and issue the shares to that they owe, but they might have to pay a pretty penny, but they can buy them. And they can take the money that they spent to buy those shares and hand them over to the shorts as an invoice, because that's what the shorts owe. And in fact, it's not even an invoice, because they can just simply debit the shorts account with the invoice for the cost to buy those shares back, because shorts should have closed their position under reconciliation, because you cannot short a private company. and there was 6 months warning that the company is going private. Let me repeat, there was 6 months warning the company was going private. The ghost of Christmas future for the short hedge funds probably does not look very good. The ghost of Christmas future for the brokerages could be perfectly fine if they work within the law and they get things done in an appropriate amount of time. Otherwise, we're looking at discovery, lawsuits and discovery. Do we really want discovery in the ghost of Christmas future? Do we really want to open up the books to see how large the short position really is at this point in time? I don't know. There's a ghost of Christmas future. I don't know. Is this really what the future is? Or let me give you an alternative future. The ghost of Christmas future could be great, because what could happen is that broker-dealers could simply buy the shares that they need to from metamaterials at whatever price it is, charge the short hedge funds, the cost of their shorting the stock. And after that, they have a whole bunch of clients who have the same amount of money that they charge the short hedge funds with. And those clients could be very happy with their brokers and reinvest that money with their brokers, at which point their brokers would be very, very happy. Don't forget, Scrooge had a very happy ending because he saw the best solution was to make himself well-loved by everybody. Brokerages could make a load of money by becoming well-loved by their clients, and who will, of course, do very well. But if they don't become well-loved by their clients, what else was in Scrooge's future? Unfortunately, there was a headstone in that future. I hope not to see a headstone in anyone's future, but that's what the ghost of Christmas future showed to Scrooge. Anyway, let's not talk about that. Let me just state that I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is not legal advice. This information is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. I am talking about, naturally, A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. And that is one of the most well-known stories of all time, and one of the most well-beloved stories of all time. And we can take that Christmas Carol in this Christmas season to the modern day and age and to our current situation. And I hope it is a fitting parable. Today is December 21st, 2022. Goodbye. Thank you for watching this video.